Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Hope everybody is having a good hump day. Uh, as usual, it's been a crazy one for me. I don't know what's going on lately. Used to be, for me, for where I work, used to be Thursdays was the crazy day. Don't know why. Just, it was always Thursdays were a crazy day. It seems like that's when uh, all of our clients, all of our customers, that's when, they would be putting in issues. We'd have a ton of stuff to look at, different programming things that we had to look at and whatever. Thursdays just always seemed to be the day that like everybody sent in all of their issues. It was the day we got the most support calls, things like that. I don't know. Maybe people wanted to get their stuff in before Friday, before the weekend. So much so that I used to comment all the time. And for those of you like me, maybe if you remember The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, one of my favorite series of all time, there's a part at the beginning of it, whether you've read the book or seen the shows or whatever, where the main character, Arthur Dent, his house is about to be knocked down by a bulldozer. His friend, who, unbeknownst to him, is an alien from space, Ford Prefect, comes to take him to a pub so they can have some drinks. And at one point, Arthur says, "This must be Thursday. I never could get the hang of Thursdays." That was my comment for years at work because we always had crazy Thursdays. Well, now it feels like that slipped back a day, and Wednesdays are the crazy day lately. I don't know what it is. Just Wednesdays always seem to be just nuts, stressful, crazy, which is why I'm so happy to be here with you guys right now and forgetting about all that garbage for a little while, having some fun. Hopefully, we're going to have a really good show tonight, have a really good fun time with you guys. I see a bunch of people in the chat already, a bunch of people already commenting on the main topic of the evening tonight. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I hope you guys are excited to get into this. So yeah, I think it was the last show, I kind of mentioned something about, first console and things like that, and said, maybe that would be a fun show to do, to talk about first consoles or favorite consoles, things like that, especially when we have a slow news week. And this pretty much fits. This has been a pretty slow news week. There are a couple of things that I want to talk about real quick. There are a couple of things that have come up over the last couple of days that you may or may not have seen. So I wanted to catch you guys up on a few things. And we'll get into that in just a minute. First off, I do want to take a minute and start to say hi to some of the people in the chat, some of the people who have been lining up for a little while now, waiting to get started. I know usually more people join as I get going, so we'll say hi to them as they come in. But for now, let me start out with the Be Me, who was one of the first people here earlier today, chatting and putting his comments in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. As always, the Be Me. We got J-Rod here as well. We got our fantastic moderator, Jason Little Alien, always here. Always great to have you with us. We got JJ here as well. Jim the Pacers fan is here. I see B. Kirby, the Chicago arcade guy. Great guy. Always fantastic to see you in the chat. Such a supporter of the community. Richard Wildello, a.k.a. Rotundo, also in the chat. Always good to see all of you guys. So thank you for being here with me today. Like I said, I think we're going to have a little bit of fun. Excuse me, a little tickle in the throat for some reason. All right, let me get started. Let's jump right in, get some of the news out of the way right up front here. And let me start by going to this. So some of you may or may not have seen this over the last couple of days. So just wanted to bring this up, bring this to people's attention. Analogue says its delayed N64 remake console will start shipping next month. Company said sudden tariffs are to blame. So I know a lot of people are big fans of Analogue, things like the Analogue Pocket and a lot of the products they make, especially when you consider that their products are all, I believe they're all FPGA based, so they're all, hardware emulation as opposed to software emulation, which means that they run stuff really well and have high compatibility with the games that they play. A lot of people have been excited and waiting for their Analogue 3D, which is their N64 console, for the better part of a year now, right? What was it, last fall, I think, that this got announced? And it got pushed back. It's been pushed back a couple of times, I believe, but the last time it was actually supposed to ship in July. Now they're pushing it back one more month to August. We'll see. We'll see if it actually comes out or not. Thank you, Ritual Dello, for that. Yes, that's what I thought. They're all basically FPGA consoles, which means they're all hardware emulation, which is cool. So this got pushed back again. Again, they're blaming sudden tariffs on this, I guess, with the fact that now, what is it? The tariffs from China are going to hit a permanent 50%, I think. I don't know. I can't keep track of all this. I don't even know if that's immediate or if that's supposed to be after the 3 months that they were originally going to be knocked down to 30%. I have no clue. But that's what they're saying here. As a matter of fact, they put out a tweet. Let's see if I can bring this up or am I going to lose it? Oh, here it is. Okay. So the tweet says, following last week's sudden tariff changes, Analogue 3D will now begin shipping next month. We're absorbing the costs. Your pre-order price stays the same. No additional charges. Late August, the wait ends. Reviews go live with everything we've been saving for this moment. We've poured everything into Analogue 3D, and we can't wait for you to see it for yourself. So it looks like this is going to be coming out probably more towards the end of next month than the beginning of the month. So probably, I mean, a little more than a month when you consider that. So for those of you guys who have been waiting on this, and let me know in the chat, is this something that you've pre-ordered? Is this something that you're interested in, that you've been waiting all this time for it to come out? I know one of the things, even though I didn't order this, one of the things I am curious about is the 8-bit do controller that is supposed to come out side by side with this, because I know that's going to be usable not just with the Analogue 3D. It's going to be usable with PC, possibly even with Switch, which would be interesting. Now, I've got the N64 controller for the Switch for playing the games. I finally got my hands on one of them. One of the last times that they went on sale, because that was another one of those things from Nintendo. Like, they'd go on sale. You'd get the notice that they were on sale, and by the time you clicked on the website, they were sold out again. So I was finally able to get one of those a while ago. It's great for being able to play some of the N64 games on the Switch, but I'm curious to see what the 8-bit do controller is going to be like and how well that is going to play N64 games. So for me, that's the thing I'm curious about, that I want to see when that comes out and possibly get my hands on. But as far as the Analogue 3D, I did not pre-order this. I don't own any of their products right now. But I'm curious to see it, and I'm curious to see what happens with pricing for this after all the pre-sales are done. Are they going to wind up increasing prices because of tariffs later on? So if you missed out on the pre-order, are you going to wind up paying a higher price for it? If you can even get your hands on it, because again, with Analogue, a lot of times, they sell out of these things real quick, and it takes them forever to restock if they do. So just something to keep in mind. Interesting question. I'm curious if this Analogue 3D will work with my Multi-64 Summer Cart. Yeah, no idea. No idea at all, to be quite honest with you. I mean, the fact that it's hardware emulation, I would think that it might, but I don't know. So I guess we will be waiting to find out. All right. Now, speaking of delays, another thing that came out just today. I got this notice a little bit earlier today, and then it was posted to Facebook, and I believe some emails just went out as well. So let me bring this up real quick. So At Games is delaying yet another release. Now we know, like last week, they were supposed to come out with their Zen title, Honor and Legacy. It was supposed to be a 2-table pack. That got delayed. That got pushed back. Still no notice on when that's going to come out. And now they've done it to the Magic Pixel game that was supposed to come out tomorrow. And this is one I gotta say that I was kind of excited for. I think this looks like it's going to be a really cool, really fun game. It's an original from them. So this is not based on, this is not like a deluxe version of like an older Zakaria table or something like that. This is a wholly original table from them. And it looks like it could be a lot of fun. So it says the release of the Firefighter Wildlands First Responders Legends single pack, originally scheduled for July 17th, has been postponed. We're taking a bit more time to fine-tune the experience and ensure it delivers the high-quality gameplay you expect. Want to be the first to know about it, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, of course, any of you guys who follow At Games, you probably get these emails and stuff anyway. Hey, Biggie D is here. Good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. Always good to see you. Shady games with delays. Who would have thought? Pay your bills. But yeah, it seems like, unfortunately, At Games is back to this thing of delaying games again. So I don't know what's going on with this. I want to take them at face value and say, you know, this just needed a little bit more time to cook. That might be a bad choice of words for this particular game. Anyway, it sounds like this one just needed a little bit more time. Hopefully that's true. Hopefully that's not, you know, that's the only problem. Although then I don't know why the Zen one was delayed. Would you consider Honor and Legacy? That's a title that Zen's done, you know, years, you know, it's been out for a while on other platforms. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. Again, you know, I only get so much information from them. So if there's stuff behind the scenes going on related to this, that's not something they're going to share. So all I can do is report what is said to me, or, you know, what they put out through official channels like this. But there we go. Another delay from At Games. Must be this dry air and this heat that's getting to me today. Oof, sorry, guys. I tried to mute there so I wouldn't cough into the microphone on you. At Games is notorious for delaying games. More realistic timelines should be made. Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know if they're being too ambitious with their schedule, trying to release something every week or you know, 3 or 4 times a month. I don't know. Out of the frying pan and into the wildland fires. MG is here. Sorry I'm late. I was busy playing my Multi-64 summer cartridge on my Analogue 3D. Yeah, sure you were. Yeah, Sure you were. All right. Got another update for you guys. If you guys are like me, you are probably big fans of the Super Mario Brothers movie that came out the other year. Not the original one from back in the 80s, the animated one that just came out recently. Really good. I thought they did a really good job on it. Some of you may know that they announced that they're actually going to be doing a live-action version of The Legend of Zelda. And it looks like they've found their Link and Zelda. Now, I will admit, I have absolutely no idea who these two actors are, but it looks like they have announced that Zelda will be played by Bo Bragason. excuse me, and Link by Benjamin Evan Ainsworth. They are two British actors, probably known for things over in Great Britain. Again, not two faces that I am familiar with. However, I will say that they do kind of look the part. I think, especially her. I think she could definitely pull off Zelda. She's got that look to her. It'll see how they make him up as how well he does for Link, but I think it could be interesting. So I guess this was the announcement here. This is Miyamoto. I'm pleased to announce that for the live-action film of The Legend of Zelda, Zelda will be played by Bro Bragason-san and Link by Benjamin Evan Ainsworth-san. I am very much looking forward to seeing both of them on the big screen. The film is scheduled to be released in theaters on May 7th, 2027. Thank you for your patience. So we've got almost 2 years until this is going to come out. All right, and it does list a little of their bio here. So Bragason was in the Netflix fantasy series Renegade Nell. Oh, okay. I've heard of Renegade Nell. I did not watch it, though. As well as BBC crime drama adaptation The Jetty. Ainsworth has only had a handful of roles to his name, though notably appeared in Netflix horror series The Haunting of Bly Manor. Okay, another one I've heard of, never actually watched. Come on, Bill, you know you're much more interested in Detective Pikachu, too. Okay. I actually liked Detective Pikachu. I actually thought it was pretty good. If nothing else, it was a really cute, really fun movie. I didn't think it was that bad. Maybe people didn't like it. I don't know. I actually thought it was fun. But I am really curious, really interested to see where this goes. MG says Renegade Nell wasn't bad. Like I said, I heard good things about it. I just never actually watched it myself. So it looks like, for the most part, it sounds like they were trying to go for people who, for the most part, are relative unknowns for this, and maybe that'll be a good thing. So I like Pikachu as Deadpool too. Yeah, it was interesting. It was an interesting take to have Ryan Reynolds play him. If I'm being honest, if you consider like the game and whatever, Danny DeVito might have been a better choice for the voice. I mean, Ryan Reynolds was, if you wanted snarky Detective Pikachu, that's what you got with Ryan Reynolds. But like Danny DeVito with his like gruff voice, to me sounds like more what his voice was like in the games and stuff, if I'm remembering correctly. I seem to remember him having like when they did do voice for him, he had kind of a gruffer voice on him, but it was still pretty good. And I think this is going to be interesting. I am, very curious to see where they go with this. Be curious to see the storyline that they're going to do. Are they going to base it more? Are they going to do just something totally wholly original? Are they going to base it on maybe the older games or Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom? My guess is if they're going to base it on a game, that they're going to base it more on the newest games. They're going to base it more on Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. But we'll have to wait and see. This is absolutely true. And it would have redeemed him from Super Mario Brothers. Although I love him in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, among a lot of other things. Bob Hoskins was a phenomenal actor. It's just too bad he got suckered into that awful movie. But if Bob Hoskins was alive, he would have made a great Pikachu. He would have, actually. Again, same thing. He had that kind of that gruff voice, detective voice that you kind of wanted Detective Pikachu to have. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Let's move on. Like I said, there are just a couple of other things that I wanted to bring up before we get into kind of the main thing here. And let me cue this up. So I want to give a big shout. I don't know if I don't see him in the chat right now. I know sometimes he shows up. But I want to give a big shout out to my buddy Moat, a.k.a. Mike of All Trades, who put out a video a little earlier today. And I'm just going to show a little bit of it off. You guys should definitely go and check this out for yourself. I'll put a link. When the show's done, I'm going to put links in the description to everything, including this. So Mike was watching a video from Sideshow Collectibles, and they were showing off some of the oh boy, they were showing off some of the upcoming New Wave Toys products, including Crystal Castles and the Skee Ball. And this is probably the first really good look we've gotten at the Crystal Castles one actually kind of being played, and even the Skee Ball being played. So, kudos to Mike. This was a good video, guys. Definitely check this out. There's more stuff in this. I'm not gonna play the whole thing here, but I did just want to show off a little bit of it. You can see the Skee Ball here. There's a little bit, I think, of her actually trying it out. So you can see how the ball rolls up into the target area like that, and also really cool find on Mike's part. So absolutely go ahead and check that out. Jason, as always, right on the ball, putting up a link to the video. So guys, definitely check that out. It was a good video. It was a cool find for him. And for those of you guys who have been waiting on these, now my understanding, if I'm remembering correctly, I believe Crystal Castles is supposed to come out either the end of this year or the very beginning of next year. Somewhere in that time frame is when they said that one was going to be released. That was behind Golden Tee, the mini pin, and some of their little accessories, the time tunnel accessories and stuff like that. So that was like third or fourth in line. So probably by the end of this year or early next year, that's going to come out. I don't think they've actually said when Skee Ball is going to come out yet, although the Sideshow site seemed to have it in like a February to April of next year timeline. So we'll have to wait and see if that happens or not. Oh, P-Dubs is here. Press 1 if Wild Bill should change the channel members into Wild Stallions. Dude, excellent. I love that movie. Bill Barbera. Oh boy. Guys, if you want me to change the membership names, I'll do it. You let me know. Excellent, man. Oh, you guys are funny. Where is the Black Hole Pinball? It is coming out later this year. Again, either like November or December. It's supposed to come out. I believe it's supposed to come out before the end of this year. Crystal Castles was Christmas 2025. Thanks for that, Jason. So I believe Black Hole is supposed to come out right before that. So that would put it around the November timeline. So keep that in mind. We do less than 2 minutes. It's not hard to do. Totally ADHD. I got shiny rock syndrome. I get distracted super easy. So it is not hard to do. And there you go. Jason confirming Black Hole Pinball November 2025. Thanks. I didn't have the dates in front of me. OMG, I'll bet you do. I'd love to hear them, but not now. Okay. All right. One more thing to talk about, and then we'll get into the main topic. And this actually kind of leads into the main topic a little bit. So I don't know how many of you have been following this news, but a group of people, including a YouTuber that I believe is a fairly big YouTuber, but not somebody I'm super familiar with, have purchased or are in the process of trying to purchase the Commodore 64 name and rights and all that kind of stuff. And they are actually working on new hardware. So the Commodore 64 Ultimate Computer is the company's first hardware release in over 30 years. Pre-orders starting at $299. So there's going to be, I think, 3 different versions of this. For the most part, hardware is going to be basically the same. The versions that are higher priced have extra goodies like a clear case with RGB lighting that reacts to gameplay and things like that. I don't think there's anything in any of these that are different, play-wise or what you're going to be able to do with it. And this is going to be another FPGA product, AMD RTX 7 FPGA, which is apparently compatible with over 10,000 plus different games, peripherals, cartridges, all kinds of things that were playable on the original Commodore 64. Jason's got his order in for it already, it looks like. Yep, these are the prices. I'll get to those in a second on this. So just to get down to this, let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. P-Dub's in the chat. I don't want him yelling at me for not zooming in like he does to Mike. So these are some of the specs on it. You can see here 128 megabytes DDR RAM, 16 megabytes flash, compatible with thumb drives, FAT32, exFAT, all kinds of different formats on this. You're going to have tons of video options out on this, 1080p, HDMI, DVI compatibility, analog, S-video, RGB. Like back in the day on a Commodore 64, you can do that. If you want to hook it up to a modern TV, you're going to be able to do that too. I mean, the specs on this thing already blow away the original C64, which is interesting. Sound, they've got FPGA sound emulation on this to emulate the sound of the original Commodore 64. All kinds of I/O ports on this, from USB to old school disk drives and things. You got the keyboard that comes with it. The base model is just a beige without any lighting, but the higher tier models come with clear case and lighting and all kinds of different stuff in them. So this looks really interesting, and I gotta say, I never owned a Commodore 64 as a kid, but I had a bunch of friends who did. I would always hang out at their place. I would always play on them and stuff like that. We used to love hanging out, playing on the C64 and whatever. So I have absolutely fond memories of the Commodore 64. I wanted one as a kid, never got it. Did get a different computer. That'll kind of lead into the topic in a minute. This also includes sockets for real SID chips, which is pretty cool. So they are definitely going all out on this to make this a modern version of the classic Commodore 64. So for those of you who are C64 fans, you want to, whether you've got some old carts, you've got your old discs sitting in storage somewhere, or you've got them on your modern PC and you want to throw them on a thumb drive and throw them into this to play, you're going to be able to do that. So I think this is going to be a pretty cool product, and definitely one that I am going to be following. Whether or not I actually get one, we will wait and see. But it is definitely something that I am interested in learning more about as time goes on. So this, I think, is really cool. Hey, James Hates Everything is here. You missed it. I actually did mention that just a little bit ago. But thank you. Thank you for being here, of course, and thank you for throwing that in the chat for people. I absolutely appreciate that. All right. But that's pretty much it for the news. I mean, there's not a ton of stuff going on right now, but there was some things that I wanted to bring up. And I think talking about that Commodore 64 kind of leads into the main topic and what I wanted to talk about tonight. And that is first gaming consoles. Let's go back down memory lane, have a little bit of fun here. Let's talk about our first gaming consoles, or even first computers. If the Commodore 64 was the first thing you ever gamed on, let me know that. I think that's pretty cool. But for me, I'm gonna start things off, and then I'll try to catch up with you guys on the chat, because you guys have been hitting it on the chat with some of this stuff. I got to show you this first, because this is the first gaming system that I ever owned. And let me blow up the picture here so you can get kind of a better look at this. This is the Coleco Telstar Arcade. Now, in the mid-70s, Coleco made a bunch of these Telstar systems. They were basically Pong systems that you could play on your TV. This one was unique because it had the three sides to. This was unique for a few reasons. It had the three sides to it. So you had the one side you could see in the front here, which was for Pong style games. You had a light gun on one side, and then on the third side you had a steering wheel with a little kind of high and low gear shift on it. And this thing even had cartridges to it. Now, there were only like 4 cartridges for this thing total, and I think like 3 or 4 games on each one, and they were all basically variations on Pong and things like that. This was not something mind-blowing, but for a 6-7-year-old kid that I was when this came out, to be able to have this and play on your TV was really freaking cool at the time. But this was actually the first thing that I've owned, and I've actually seen these out in the wild since then. Recently, I've thought about, if I ever found one, trying to pick it up just to have. I would probably never hook it up to a TV. I would just want to have it for nostalgia. But this thing, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. But for me, really, the first real gaming console that I ever owned was this, the ColecoVision. And I've talked about this before. Didn't it come out after the 2600? I don't know. Hold on. So this came out in 1977. Remind me when, and I know Atari came out around there, 77, 78, somewhere around there. Hold on, I've got my cheat book in front of me. Same year, Atari 2600 came out in 1977. I got this book. Is a great book. Love this book. Got this like a year or so ago. A ton of stuff on here about like consoles and different things that have come out throughout the years from the 70s up to just a couple of years ago. I think PS4 might be the last PS4 era might be the last ones that are shown in this book, but this is kind of my cheat sheet, so I'll be using this as we talk about things. But yes, it actually came out the same year as the Atari 2600. But a few years later, in 1983, or 1982 rather, is when the ColecoVision came out, and that was my first console, and I absolutely loved this. I loved the fact that the graphics and the gameplay on it were a step above the Atari 2600 at the time. They looked a lot closer to the arcade games of the time than some of the other consoles that were out, the Atari and television and stuff that were out at that same time. Not exactly the same, but a lot closer. The only thing that killed this was the controller was not that great. That little disc joystick controller, not really great. The number pad on it was a cool idea, and television had that kind of same idea on it. It was neat to be able to play certain games that required the number pad. I remember like a blackjack poker game that used it. It was an arcade game, Mousetrap, where you had different colored buttons to represent different gates that you could open or close, and that used the number pad. Whereas I guess in the arcade it was just different colored buttons, but they kind of simulated that with the number pad on this. But this thing was fantastic. I eventually got the Atari plug-in for this, so I could play the Atari 2600 games on it, which was really cool. I had the trackball controller for this. This was definitely my go-to until the gaming crash of the mid to late 80s, and then waiting for the NES to come out, which was the next one that I got. I know you guys are going nuts in the chat here. I had TV Sports Little Sliders made it 2 or 4 player for making the sticks on screen longer and switch from tennis to soccer, which was the same thing. An Odyssey. Okay, yeah. I remember the Odyssey too. That was definitely predates the Atari, the Telstar, all of that stuff. Those were interesting because, again, it's basically, the original Magnavox Odyssey, basically just a Pong system, but it was cool that it had these overlays that you could put on your TV to make it look like tennis or hockey or, baseball or whatever, football, whatever game you were playing. So I think that was pretty cool. Back to the C64 remake. I hope Retro Recipes version isn't too pricey and is feature rich. Retro Game 64 Maxi was only like $130 or $150. It was a full-size C64 with HDMI out. So it is going to be more than that. I think that the cheapest one is $300, but with it being FPGA based, with all the stuff that they're adding to it, it does feel like it might be worth it. So keep an eye on it. Definitely check it out for yourself to decide if that's something that you think is worth it. I remember going over to my friend's house and playing the Donkey Kong ColecoVision. Holy cow, was it night and day. Oh, yeah, especially that game. Jeez. The Atari Donkey Kong was just god-awful. But, but the ColecoVision was fantastic. I think probably my favorite games on the ColecoVision were Donkey Kong Jr., and Zaxxon. I think those were the two I probably played the most. Although I really liked Ladybug, Mousetrap, a lot of those games. Space Fury I thought was a lot of fun on there. Television controls, you would cut your finger on the disc. Yep. I've seen this. Gramps Arcade. I know exactly what you're talking about. Now has a super game module to plug in expansion port and new enhanced cartridges to play almost perfect arcade ports of Donkey Kong Jr. and others. I've seen that. Now, the funny thing with that is that was something that they were actually supposed to make back in the day. They were supposed to make an expansion module that bumped up the capabilities of the ColecoVision. And then they were going to eventually make a ColecoVision 2, which I think Jason pointed out last week, kind of actually morphed into what the NES eventually turned into, or the Famicom, actually, I guess, in Japan originally. But now, people have gone back. They've made that super game module. They've made homebrew ports that play like the arcade versions of these games. It's really cool. It's something that, again, I might actually pick up one of these days because I actually do own a ColecoVision. I have a ColecoVision. I have the Atari adapter for it. A buddy of mine was cleaning out his mom's home here, and he wound up finding his old ColecoVision in a closet in the back. And he got in touch with me because he knew I do this. He knew I was into the retro gaming and stuff. He said, "Hey, I have no need for this. Do you want it?" I was like, "Absolutely." So he gave it to me. Had a couple of little hiccups that I had to get fixed on it, which Glenn Planamento was really good at helping me out with. I actually gave it to him. He looked it over. He did a couple of fixes on it for me. And it's working pretty good so far, knock on wood. So I'm really enjoying having that back again and trying to collect cartridges for it. It's tough. They're hard to find. But when I do find them, I do wind up picking them up. I do have a handful of those, but getting some Atari cartridges as well. So those were really cool. My first was a Pong clone that came with a light gun back in like 76 or 77 called a Lloyd's TV Sports 812 or something like that. My first PC was a TI-99. Okay, I remember those for sure. Followed by a C64. Yep. So lot of cool games back in the day playing. The first wave of consoles, a lot of fun. The Atari, the ColecoVision. Seems like a lot of you guys are like me. You're old fogies like me, and you had all these systems from the 70s and the early 80s. It doesn't look like we've got like any NES babies or Super NES or Genesis babies in here. That was their first, which is pretty cool. For sure. ColecoVision was great for arcade ports. They had a few great games that were exclusive as well. Yeah, they did. They had one of the things that they did, and I'm trying to remember if Intellivision beat them to it or not. ColecoVision actually had a couple of games, and it was that had voice synthesis on the carts. Nothing like phenomenal. I remember a game. It was actually there was a game called Squish 'em Sam, and you moved the title character around, and he was basically like an exterminator, but he would go around, squishing. You'd step on and squish the bugs, and every time you stepped on him, he'd say squish 'em, squish 'em. That's my best impersonation, by the way. But I remember that was pretty cool at the time that they actually came out with some stuff that was voice synthesis, and I think Intellivision had done that at one point too, but I can't remember who was first to it. The system that was ahead of its time was a Bally system, and I still have it. It doesn't work, but that was amazing. I saw that at a con once. They were actually doing a contest and giving one away. I'm not super familiar with it, but I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, if I'm remembering it correctly, it was a pretty advanced system for its time. But so beyond that, beyond first consoles, first things like that, what about favorite consoles? Now, again, if you guys are like me, you started out with some of these early systems, these Ataris, Intellivisions, Odysseys, ColecoVisions, things like that. As time went on, you graduated to Nintendo or Master System, Genesis, Super Nintendo, N64, things like that. Heck, if you want to go up to, if PS5 and Xbox XS are your favorite consoles of all time, that's cool too. Let me know. But let me know in the chat, do you have an all-time favorite? And how many people are going to say Dreamcast? For me, honestly, it's got to be the original, the Super Nintendo. The Super Nintendo, probably one of the ones that I had and held on to the longest. It was really only a couple of years ago that I sold it when I bought my Switch. And kind of wish I hadn't. I've now got, a retro console back that plays Super Nintendo games, so it's cool. I can play them again if I want, plus a million different ways to emulate. But the Super Nintendo was and will always be my favorite. I have so many fond memories of playing games like Super Mario World, Super Metroid, just so many of those games. They just stuck with you. When games like when Street Fighter 2 came out on the Super Nintendo, it was like early college days for me. And my buddy and I, we had the Super Nintendo in our room, and we would play. We'd have people in. We'd have tournaments and stuff playing it. Oh my God, such a great game, such a great way to play it outside of the arcade. Even if it wasn't arcade perfect, a lot of fun. It's too bad they screwed up on the Mortal Kombat release. Unless you owned a Game Genie and you could turn the sweat into blood. Genesis definitely beat them on that one for sure. But I will always have fond memories and a fond place in my heart for the Super Nintendo. That is definitely one that I absolutely love. And of course, Ritual Dello with the Dreamcast. I know a lot of people love the Dreamcast. Never owned one myself, but I totally understand the appeal of it. Again, you want to talk about a system that was ahead of its time. I mean, the Dreamcast was practically an arcade machine in your home without the cabinet. I mean, it ran on hardware so similar to the Naomi in the arcades that you really could almost could not tell the difference at all. That's CDI with KMG. You had to go there, huh? But I'm with you on the Super Nintendo. I'll leave the other piece of the comment alone, but I'm with you on the Super Nintendo. The Be Me C64 still his favorite. I get that. The Be Me, let me know if you're looking into getting that new one that I just talked about. It seems like that would definitely be right up your alley. ColecoVision was my favorite and the only old school console I still own. Yep. So, yeah, I get that. J-Rod still got his Dreamcast, so good for you. I again, I understand that completely. A lot of people held on to their Dreamcast, and one of the things that was good or bad, depending on your point of view, about the Dreamcast was how easy it was to just burn discs to play on it. So there was it was definitely easy to get games on it. That's for sure. After Dreamcast, PS2, then SNES, followed by 64 and TurboGrafx. All good consoles, and I can definitely understand the PS2. Probably still my favorite PlayStation console of all of them, the PS2. PS1 was really cool. I was kind of a little bit late to the party on that one. I still was. I never had the N64 personally. My brother actually had one, so I was able to play it with his. But I personally held on to the Super Nintendo for a really, really long time until finally graduating to the PS1. But then when the PS2 came out, light years ahead of what the first PlayStation could do. Shh, we don't talk about that. Yeah, Genesis. Genesis, I feel, was really... That was kind of their bread and butter, wasn't it? The sports games. That's where they really shined above a lot of the other consoles. If you were a sports gamer, if Madden and NHL and all those EA Sports games, if that was your jam, if that's what you like to play more than anything, you probably were more interested in the Genesis than the Super Nintendo. Now, if you were into RPGs, especially JRPGs, something I was definitely into. If you were into some arcade ports and things like that, you were probably more into Super Nintendo. Or if you were a big fan of the classics, the Mario, Donkey Kong, Metroid, Zelda, all of those games. God, that's another one. Link to the Past, such a great game, for sure. Madden was born. Yes, very, very true. Console, 6 VMUs, 4 rumble packs, 4 controllers, 2 steering wheels, and 2 light guns, and mini games. Also have all the Dreamcast magazines and demos. Wow, J-Rod, you are serious, and an arcade stick. You are serious about your Dreamcast, and I think that is awesome. I think that is just super fantastic for sure. Played hockey and just so yeah, and sports games for sure were definitely the way to go on Genesis. Anybody in the chat got like a favorite memory from playing a lot of these games? It's so tough. For me, it's really tough to choose. I think one of the things that going back to the ColecoVision, I remember one of the things was I really wanted to, like I said, they came out with a trackball controller for it, which came with this game called Slither. And Slither was sort of a Centipede clone. It had a lot of similarities to Centipede. It actually was an arcade game. I actually think I didn't even know that till years later. I thought it was just something for the ColecoVision controller, but it actually was in the arcades. And to be honest, there weren't even a lot of games that used the trackball, but there were a handful. But for whatever reason, I had my heart set on the trackball controller. And I remember telling my parents, that's what I want for Christmas. I want the trackball controller. I want the trackball controller. And my dad, kept saying, I can't find it. I can't find it. I don't know. Nobody's got it. I can't find it. I mean, up until Christmas morning, he had me convinced that it wasn't happening. I wasn't getting it. Couldn't find it anywhere. Come Christmas morning, downstairs, opening up all the gifts. Seems like everything is done. Then the classic parent, oh, wait, got one gift left for you. Brings it out. Boom. There it was. Roller controller for the ColecoVision. I was thrilled. I was so happy to get that. I was a little pissed because he lied to me about it. Made me think I wasn't getting it. But that was outweighed by the thrill of it. And you can say what you want. Again, Slither, so-so game. Not a lot of games really compatible with it. But when you're a kid and you got your heart set on something, and that's what you want, you're thrilled to get it. Even if you only play it a little bit, you're thrilled to get it. And that's a memory that I will never forget. Getting Soviet Borgs coming out for the Dreamcast in Kickstarter right now, hoping the 2D T2 coming out in September will have a Dreamcast version. Interesting. 100% agree with this, Jason. Slither was okay, but overall the games were lacking for the roller controller. When things like that come out, you hope there's going to be more, obviously more stuff than just a handful of games for anything like that. But again, at the time, we didn't know what was coming around the corner. We didn't know that we were a year away from a crash that was going to just kill all of these companies. So like I said, when you're a kid and you want something, you want it. Yeah, they did. They got me good. They got me good on it. My favorite memory was going to Green Acres Mall. Nintendo just came out, and Ron Darling was playing the game with everyone. My sister drove me. She was in love with Ron Darling. That's funny. Play Duck Hunt against Ron Darling. That's cool. That's a cool memory for something like that. That is definitely very cool. All right, guys. We're getting close to 9 o'clock. Arcades Anonymous is going to be starting soon. I will have this redirected to go to them if you want, if we don't finish a couple of minutes early here. But I thought this would be fun. Like I said, there wasn't a ton of news this week, and I thought it would be kind of cool to reminisce with you guys in the chat. For those of you guys who are here, for those of you guys who hung out, thank you so much. I appreciate you just taking the time to hang out. It feels like we probably had a lower attendance than normal on the show tonight because I wasn't really kind of previewing any kind of news or things like that. But that's okay. You guys are here. I'm thrilled. I'm grateful that you guys have come to hang out with me for this hour to reminisce about this stuff, because let's face it, that's what this hobby is all about. That's what retro gaming is all about, is to just enjoy the things you have, reminisce about, the things you enjoyed back in the day. And Green Acres many times, bought many games there at the Queens Mall. That's one I've never been to, but then again, I'm more of a Westchester upstate Sort of. For those of you who know New York, Westchester's not really upstate, but it's outside the city, outside of Long Island and Queens and stuff like that. But guys, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Thanks for making this little hour fun, for helping me forget about my crazy work days. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it too. Hopefully you guys got to forget about things for a little while and just have fun going down memory lane and reminiscing. And for those of you guys who still have some of these old systems, like J-Rod with his Dreamcast there. I hope you guys enjoy them. Hope you guys have fun playing them. And you know what? I'll see you guys next time. So take care and happy gaming.